Paul, Tuesday night's result, a much earned 3 points. Can we just have a little bit more on Tuesday night's performance result and what it meant?
Yeah, I mean, any 3 points is obviously very, very welcome, especially away from home. Clean sheet as well was great. I thought first half, Salisbury started at a really, really high tempo. Didn't play on Saturday, obviously, and I think you could tell that in the first 15, 20 minutes. Thought they started brighter, sharper, although they didn't really create anything in the whole of the half, pretty much the whole of the game, really. They had more of the ball than us, but I felt that if we had gone after them and pressed them high too early, I felt like we may have got picked off. Thought it was a little bit leggy. I thought we'd have recovered better than that from the game against Chelmsford. So we had to sit off a little bit and play good shape and really be boring, really. We had to be boring first half. And then second half, I thought we made a few subs and made a difference. I thought even the first 15 minutes of the second half, I thought we looked strong. Came onto the game, played the sort of game we wanted to play and got the deserved 3 points in the end.
So the fixtures are thick and fast at the moment. What does that mean for the team at the moment, and how are you keeping them ticking over?
It is ticking over. You've hit the nail on the head. It's just recovering, making sure they eat right, making sure they get plenty of rest, plenty of sleep, rehydrate, all those sorts of things, and really not really training, to be honest with you. Just obviously some of the boys need topping up, but who haven't been involved. But other than that, it really is just rest and recuperation, really.
Saturday's opponent, what can you tell about them?
Well, I've got a lot of respect for Jay at Tonbridge. He does great with them there. Really well organised team, strong. Got some good players technically, and win for a tough afternoon. They'll come here and they'll enjoy the experience, but they work tremendously hard for him.
In terms of ticking over, plenty of fixtures, plenty of minutes out there for players at the moment. So as a whole, the squad must be relatively happy with player to player, what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, players who aren't playing will always be unhappy, which is perfectly normal. I think you're right. It's when you've got this many games in such a short space of time, there is no one's being dropped. There is no, it's rotating for fitness and freshness. If you're not going to do that, there's no point having a 18, 19 man squad. It's never personal, and it's always for the good of the team and hopefully for the right result in any game. So, of course, players who aren't playing as much as others will have the ump. That's fine. I want them to, but everyone's going to get their chance, definitely.
In terms of fitness for the squad, how are we set for Saturday?
No, I think we're good. I think we're fully fit. Yeah, obviously Cody's suspended, but other than that, we're full availability, I think.
What can you tell us about Cody's absence and how it will change the team?
Well, he's an important player for us, definitely. But he's obviously in a good run of form at the moment. I think he missed pre-season, so you can see he's finally starting to get fitter and fitter in games. And he works tremendously hard for the team. But you've just said about the squad and squad game. Cody comes out of the team, someone else comes in. Simple as that.
Great, thank you, Paul.
All right.
We talked at the beginning of the season about how the 5 subs would help when it get to the pressure of fixtures and what have you. You used all 5 subs on Tuesday. Is it becoming more of a squad game now in that respect?
Definitely. I didn't use all the 5 against Chelmsford, so it's horses for courses in a game. It's how. So I think early on in the season we spoke about it, and there was a couple of premeditated ones. Maybe at half time or 55, 60 minutes. I don't think that's as much the case now. But it's what my gut's saying at the time, really, and how I'm seeing the game and how the game's evolving, when and where I'll make my subs. With this congested fixture month, then the 5 subs are really, really important. And I think it's been a squad game for a few years now. It's becoming more and more. I mean, what can the Premier League use? Is it five? Can they use 5 from 9?
Five,
But,
9? Is it 5 from
but
9?
they've got 9 subs.
Yeah.
The Championship got 9 subs now, so it's you need a decent sized squad because, as we all know, there's a lot of games in a season. It's a long old season.
And you talked about having 20 new players signed on and the way the players have gelled. You must be pleased with the way that a lot of them are really getting their feet under the table now.
So happy, so happy. I haven't spoke about it before. Been asked about it, but not spoke about it. So after 15 games, it's fact we're third of the way through the season. Couldn't be happier with where they are. It's we still need to improve. We know that I need to improve. Players need to improve. We all need to improve constantly. If we don't strive to do that every day, then we'll never get to where we want to get to. So that's really, really important. But I am really happy with. I mean, it's recruitment in the summer was tough.
Yeah.
Recruitment's always tough anyway. If you want the best players or players that you think will do well for your football club. So I am happy with them. They train hard. They're good lads. So overall, very pleased.
And without turning the spotlight on one player in particular, Jordan Young has made quite an impression in his first couple of games. You must be pleased with the way he's bedded in.
Yeah, definitely. We're to be very patient to get him. I know how good a player he is, and I think he's come in and he's been fresh, given us a little spark, and I think other players have reacted to that as well. I think whenever a good player comes in and trains well and plays well, I think other players around him try and come up to those levels as well, or do come up to those levels as well. So overall, listen, he's been great. Like I said, we had to be patient to get him. Now he's finally in the building. We're really pleased with him. So far, so good, but it's just a start for him, that's all.
Just going back to the game on Tuesday night, have you ever watched or been involved in a game where you can hardly see the lines?
No. Do you know what? It's really interesting because I got to the ground. I was a bit poorly anyway, but I got to the ground and Michael said, "Can you see the line?" And I looked, and I couldn't. And I said to the fourth official, I said, "How can we tell if it's what's going on?"
Yeah.
And he just looked at me quite vacant, quite blankly, and not what he could do about it. But I think it's one of those places we've been there. We've got our 3 points. We're done.
Yeah,
It's ticked off. So
it was interesting. I mean, I was watching the stream and you couldn't see any lines either side.
No.
You could see the middle, but you couldn't see anything either
well,
side.
from the technical area, I definitely couldn't see the far touch. I couldn't see either penalty box.
Yeah.
And I think it was about 20 yards down the touchline, and then I couldn't see further than that. So, no, but no, it's the first
Did
time
the
I...
players say anything about it?
No. If they did, I didn't hear it. So, no.
They just got on with it.
Yeah, fortunately, got the points,
Exactly, yeah.
But no, you're quite right, Rich. It was a bit strange.
With Cody out, all of us of a certain age, we remember the day when a lot of managers would go, I'll stick one of my central defenders up front, and I'm sure you've played in games where your centre forward was out. That doesn't seem to happen quite so much these days, does it? Managers going, well, we'll stick one of our centre halves up front as a bit of a... And centre halves became quite regular deputy centre forwards back in the day. Is that something that you would, think of doing and in these situations? Why is it not happening maybe as much now as it used to?
I don't know. I don't think I've played in a team where a centre-back has been a regular scorer as a centre-forward. I've definitely played against centre-backs playing up front.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think you saw Salisbury did it with 10, 15 minutes to go on Tuesday. They put John Batty up front and started going very, very direct. And
happens in games.
Yeah, definitely. That's what. Yeah. So Salisbury aren't a direct football team. They play football, but they went very direct last 15 minutes. I think it was very, very common a few years back if you were 1-0 down to chuck your centre half up front and bombard the box. I don't know, Dave. Maybe football's going through. It goes in circles. I think the fashion at the minute is to try and play beautiful football.
Yeah.
Unless Pep does it, no one's going to do it. I don't think so.
No.
No, you're quite right though. I think it's it will start. It'll come back because football, nothing stays still.
No.
Fashion evolves, doesn't it? I think fashion at the minute is total football, and there's definitely a place for. I mean, I like a target man. Do you know what I mean? But a target man who can move as well. So,
Yeah.
I've
I think back in the years we can always. I'm sure probably at Argyle as well that when the centre forward was missing, your regular centre forward. I mean, we can remember people like Clint Bolton would go, well, I'll play up front, and could do it, and were pretty good at it.
Wayne Thomas played up front a couple of times. Wayne Thomas played up front a couple of times.
Yes, and just sort of, just remember, other teams used to do it.
Hey, well, going and watching Argyle when I was young, Robbie Turner used to do it a lot.
Yeah.
At Argyle, I can't remember many after that.
No.
After that, really, but yeah.
So it's not something that it's at the front of your mind at the moment.
I haven't actually answered your question, have I? No, listen, I've got a couple of things running around in my head. Yeah, and we'll see.
Obviously, Wonacott's not too far away now with his broken arm. Is that right? Is he back training?
I think he's back training, Clive, but he's not handling the boys. It's footwork and fitness stuff, really.
Right. I mean, obviously, much more often than not in a squad, there's a number 2 keeper. We haven't had that all year so far. Do you think? Are you okay with that? And are you sort of happy overall with the goalkeeping situation at the moment?
So, in answer to, am I happy without? Are you saying without a sub goalie?
Without a sub goalie or someone else in the squad, perhaps who can push the number 1.
Okay, so we have multiple goalies training with us with Kenny, so that's fine. As the current goalkeeping situation, I trust James Heyman completely. I've known him for years. I thought he was faultless on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Didn't put a foot wrong. There's a couple of goals this season I felt he could have done better with, but there's a couple of goals this season I felt centre-backs could have done better with. I felt full-backs could have done better with. So human error will always be part of football. And at the minute, I'm comfortable with the goalkeeping situation. Yeah.
It's that position, particularly maybe in a tight league. A really good keeper can get you. They always say 15 points a season, don't they? Just wondered about that, really.
Yeah, I mean, really good centre forward will get you 15 points as well. Really good winger will get you 10 to 15 assists. So, no, I'm comfortable at the moment.
Thank you.
We were talking earlier about the volume of fixtures, recovery, and basically you're not doing too much training with them in this situation. Leading on into then the recruitment in the summer, you've got quite a lot of young players for whom this is a bit of a new experience.
Yeah.
Having to go out and produce performances on the back of not very much training and all that kind of stuff. This is a new experience for them. If you think about Matt Carson, Jim Tonks, Will Jenkins-Davies, even one or two of the lads at the back. Is that something that in your mind you're almost watching out for them? Do you find yourself watching out for them perhaps more than say maybe Oscar or one or two of the others?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely spot on. It's getting used to playing full-time men's football is really difficult. So you're absolutely spot on. I think it's to just say that he's only 19, 20, he can run all day, he can play 7 games a week. It's not that simple. I think I said a couple of weeks ago that as I got older and as you get more experience and older, you deal with a run of games better. It becomes used to it, and if you're waking up with certain pains or you're absolutely exhausted and you've got experience of being there before and doing it, you can go back to that experience and it helps you through it. I think when you're young and you're new to it, and sometimes you're like, first 10 minutes of a game, say Tuesday night, and you can't get your breath and you think, geez, I'm nowhere near it. You do come through it. It's staying calm. But when you're young and you haven't experienced that, of course, you fret and you think, how am I going to get through another 80 minutes here? But you do. It's just experience gets you through it. And you're quite right. The younger ones arguably will burn out quicker than the more experienced ones.
You've rotated or switched Krask, Tonks, Carson. We can probably think of another one as well in those wide positions. I know Finley Kraska's a bit older, isn't he? But
Yeah.
Not.
But
that
even
much
so,
older,
I think
not that much older.
no, he's not, and I think this will be the first time he's played this many games for a good few years.
Yes. Matt's been a bit more regular, hasn't he? And yet he's only 21, and he's just come out of Southampton under 21 football. Virtually.
Definitely.
And it's quite demanding, isn't it? But also mentally, psychologically, you can't fail in front of this lot, sort of thing.
I think you're absolutely spot on. I think that the changes in those wide areas is number one. It's a very demanding position anyway, and I make big demands of the players who play. Midfielders have to cover an awful lot of ground as well, and I think you're quite right about the mental aspect of it. When you're young, you can show no fear, and you can, sometimes you can just breeze through games and not really worry about what's going on. But I think now we're at the stage of the season after 15 games. Everyone's getting used to still playing in front of Plainmoor. Boys are still getting used to, 3,500, 4,000 fans really cheering them on and being demanding, quite rightly as they should be, and playing to expectations. When you're winning a game and you end up drawing it at home, it can feel like you've dropped points rather than sometimes it might be a point game. But if you're big enough and ugly enough and been around long enough like I have, you can deal with it. But I'm not saying even when you're that age and you're that experienced, it still can be, things can get you down. But young lads, they're in a good place. But you're quite right. You have to look after them mentally as well, definitely. At the minute, so far so good. But you're quite right in your observation of that.
One word on the Yellow Army. We love coming to Plainmoor. We love watching the games. But there are demands on the fans as well when a cluster of home fixtures come together. But how appreciative are you of them when they turn out? And we really want the big numbers again at Plainmoor, don't we?
Massively. Listen, we don't underestimate how it's expensive to watch football. It's expensive to go and watch a football match. You're not just buying your ticket, especially if you're taking your little ones with you and stuff, or your missus and that. It's an expensive day out. We know we've got a duty to work hard and run hard and try to give them value for money. Try to let them have a enjoyable Saturday afternoon or Tuesday night. We know that's on us. So again, that comes back to what Dave's saying: the pressure to perform, the pressure to not let people down, which I think that's a bigger pressure than pressure to perform. Pressure of feeling like you're letting people down is tremendously hard. Fortunately, I don't think we have this year other than once in the FA Cup. We've lost games, yeah, but I don't think we've let anyone down. So we massively appreciate their support, and we know. Chelmsford were then away at Salisbury. Home on Saturday to Tonbridge, home on Tuesday to Maidstone, home in the FA Trophy to Truro. It's a lot of money people are going to be forking out, and there's going to be thousands of fans who go to all of those games. Massively appreciate it, and I can't thank them enough. So, but we know the commitments they have to make. It's not a world that's cheap to live in anymore. So we appreciate the sacrifices they make to get their tickets and come and watch us. Can't say any more than that. Really do appreciate it.